Welcome to another episode of the Teed Up Podcast. This is a new special episode. We got linebacker for Arizona State, 53 tackles this year.
Yeah, this is our first D1 athlete on the podcast.
Exactly.
So,
really?
Yeah, it's a big honor. It's a big honor.
It's a big jump.
We're happy. We're making that jump step by step. But go on, introduce yourself. Who are you? What you do?
Tre Brown. I just finished my last collegiate year at Arizona State. Play linebacker. Now I'm training for the league and here talking with these guys.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it. You're an IE guy, bro.
Yeah.
You grew up Moreno Valley, right?
Yep.
I'm from Riverside. He's been to the IE
I've been
one time.
there a couple times. I like it. He showed me a good time.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up there?
Growing up in Moreno Valley is a little bit different. There's a lot of gang culture that surrounds Moreno Valley, hence the name Murda. But my dad did a good job of keeping me out of the streets, keeping me with people that are that have that aspect of going to college and succeeding in life and want to be successful in life. So, it wasn't the hardest thing because my dad obviously had the whereabouts on how I should move, but I'm not going to say it was just easy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
when did you get into football? Like, when did you start playing that?
I started football, I was 4 turning 5. My uncle had wanted to put me in football, actually. He wanted to coach me, and then my dad followed suit and wanted to be able to coach me as well. So, started at a young age, and then ever since then, every year I never missed a season of football.
Did you start off like mainly just playing defense, or because I know when it's little league they start out playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
You look like you play some running back, something like that.
I did a little bit when I was peewee, I guess, when I was really young. But I did start out at linebacker when I was young. So, and I played that position all the way through high school and then now on the big stage. Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school at?
So my freshman year, I went to J. Sarah, and then
Trinity.
Yeah. I played with all those guys, and then my sister had a health issue. So then I came to Temecula, where I played at Metro Christian from my sophomore to my senior year.
Talk about, you said J. Sarah, right? That's the Trinity League.
Yeah.
That's like Mater Dei, Orange Lutheran, Bosco, all these big teams.
Uh-huh.
Who was like some of the quarterbacks that you were matching up against then?
Shoot, if I can remember any of them.
Is that like Bryce Young and them?
I never played against Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
I did play against Real Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he was on the QB1 show. Didn't he end up going to like Georgia Tech or something like that?
I don't know where he went. I think so, something like that.
But talk about, because for a lot of people that aren't in Cali,
Yeah.
What's the difference between the divisions and then like the Trinity League? Is that a whole different league by itself, or what is?
Trinity League is probably one of the top leagues in California. Actually, it is the top league in California, so it's the best of the best. So they play the best of the best around, obviously, all of California. And then if they happen to play non-season games against other really good schools, so it's the top of the top. But
Yeah.
Would you say Cali has the best football, state by state? Because I don't know. I feel like Texas is up there. Florida got some dogs.
I'm a little biased. I would say California has the best football, but with some of the laws and legislatures with playing football, like it's not as valued as it would be in Texas, where
Texas,
they have spring ball, where they have fall camp, where they have all these different type of stuff.
I
It's
feel
like,
in the
it's
South,
year round, too.
Yeah.
I feel like in the South it's Jesus and football right
Yeah,
there.
and it's big. I got cousins that play football in Texas, and they have spring ball. They have practice at nights and stuff like that, but it's allowed. You know what I mean? So they get that exposure. It builds them for college. Whereas you do have school or states like California where that stuff is like prohibited, where you can't be there early in the morning and then late at night doing football all day. So,
Well, in high school, you were a 4-star on 24/7, and then a 3-star ESPN. Talk about like recruitment. What was that like going on visits, and then how did you ultimately decide where you was gonna go?
you know, it was interesting, especially with the stars and stuff like that, because I never cared about stars. Honestly, I think they should get rid of
At the
that.
end of the day,
Yeah.
it's what
It's
you
about
put
how
on
you
the
play.
field.
Yeah, I think they should get rid of the stars because when you line up against people, okay, let's see if the stars match up.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Some
see a
people
lot
don't
of
got
3 and
that
4
dog
stars.
in
them.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
see a lot of 3 and 4 stars playing against 5-star athletes, and
Killing them.
most of the time you see 3 and 4-star athletes starting or playing over 5-star athletes, or a 5-star athlete can't hang with the rigmarole of playing a whole series or doing all just different type of stuff, being in the fire. So personally, I don't care about stars, but recruiting wise, I gotta say I was definitely blessed. I was placed in a position where my head coach, Deshaun Burns, looked out for me a lot, you know, and he had a lot of connections in the college realm, NFL wise. He coached in the NFL, coached in college, played at USC, so he's an alumni from USC. So he was well connected. So
Who were you recruited by? Give like your top schools that you had in mind before you made your decision.
UCF was one of my top schools that I was looking at. Washington State was obviously one. I was looking at going to Oregon State, but Coach Petrie had left. What other school? It was a while ago, man.
What's one more school? One
I
more.
took a trip to Oregon. I had offers
Oregon?
from Oregon. Yeah, I played.
Really?
Oregon was my first scholarship, actually, my sophomore year.
Okay.
That was my very first scholarship.
What's that? Yeah, what's that like? Like that feeling of getting the phone call or seeing the mail come in, like seeing Oregon. Like you're a sophomore, you're what, like 15, 16 years old. Seeing that, what's that feeling like? Like, how did you feel?
It's surreal. You know, your parents talk about getting your school paid for where they don't have to pay for anything and all that good stuff. So being able to take that off their plate as a 15-year-old, it's something that God blessed me with. And to be able to have my parents focus on my sisters and not really worry about my college expenses because it's all paid for, that was something that I got to say that's really was in God's hands, because I didn't, you know what I mean?
That's what you
I'm not
dream
no
of.
coach.
That's
Yeah,
what you
so-
work towards.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I'm not out there showing my fam, reaching out to coaches like Coach called me.
Right.
So it was just it's a surreal moment when you get that phone call that's like, hey, we want you here. We're gonna offer you a full ride scholarship to come play for us. That like it's different. Like it's a heart racing moment, I'd say. But it's also that blessing. Like, okay, now let's buckle down and let's get hungry, because that's not the only one that's probably gonna come in. If that that's sport.
Of
Right.
course.
Yeah.
So obviously you chose Washington State.
Uh-huh.
You went there for your first 4 years, was it?
Yep.
So what was that decision? What led you to go to Washington State?
Honestly, it was Mike Leach.
That's a great coach. Right?
Yeah.
Legendary coach.
Yeah.
Man, that coach is something different. You know what I mean? He's a really good coach. I talked with a lot of the strength staff too, whom I'm still talk to this day.
Yeah.
You know, just good, genuine dudes and good, genuine people. The players there, I felt like I had a connection. It was out the way. It wasn't I wasn't out partying or anything like that. You know, and I love fishing, so I was really attracted to that. So fishing up north is really
Yeah.
fun.
Really?
Talk
Yeah.
about that, because
Yeah.
I know in Colorado they got a lot of rivers and lakes where you can go fishing. Is that the same type of terrain up there?
I mean, I've never been to Colorado. My whole collegiate career, I've
Yeah,
never
really?
been to Colorado.
Really?
Never.
Like it never matched up that way when
Ow.
y'all went?
Never.
Pac-12?
Like, I don't
4
know.
years.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, it's crazy. We played Colorado for our homecoming. We whooped their ass,
We wasn't good up until.
but I've never been there. I never played at Colorado.
What's like, all right, so you said like fishing and different things that y'all did. What was like the day-to-day within the facility, like workouts? Because I know a lot of people when they talk to D1 players, they know the it's rigorous. Like it's
Yeah.
not like normal going to the gym, lifting for an hour, and just
Nah.
going home. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
So,
What
man,
was-
every
yeah.
other day you have a different lift, whether it be full body, legs, or arms, and it is taxing. You know, it's a full hour and a half just focused on that section. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it starts. Some schools start at 6. Some schools start at like 5:30. I've been in lifts where I've started at 5:30. I've been in lifts where I started at 6. You know what I mean? And that goes all the way till probably 7:30 ish, and then you got class all the way up until like 3 or 4, and then after that you jump right back into meetings. You know what I mean? That's just training.
Right.
Let's put practice in. So you got lifting in the morning early. Some lift groups, I want to say, starts at 5. You lift for an hour at 6 or so. Then from like 6:30 to 7, you have breakfast, right? From there, 7:30, you have meetings all the way up until like 9. From 9 to 12, you got practice. From 12 to about 3 or 4 o'clock, you have school.
Dang. Right.
And then after school ends, you jump right back into meetings from like
Yeah.
5 to like 7 or 8, depending on what school you're at.
And you just redo it.
And you doing it every day.
It's just a
so-
cycle.
For about what? 6 month span, 8 month span.
Especially, let's see. I'd say it starts around like July, around there, and then from July to December.
Damn. So talk about that. I mean, a lot of people associate, being a D1 athlete as having, the glitz and glamour. You're getting all the attention from everyone, the females.
Yeah.
Talk about that, but they don't see that hard work every day, getting up at 6, not getting home till maybe 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Talk about how were you able to get through that, and what was like kind of your route to, obviously you're gonna have peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
When you're in that valley, what helps you get through that?
Honestly, I talk to my peoples a lot. I talk to my dad, I talk to my mom, my sisters. I pray a lot, so I hear God talking to me all the time, and then I surround myself with people that understand the path that I'm on. You know what I mean? So when you're going through it and it's getting tough, you definitely want to call your people, because if you're in an area that you don't like and you're going through it, oh man,
tough.
it's even worse. You know what I
Makes you
mean?
want to quit.
Yeah. So, and I've been through there where I've wanted to quit several times, especially with coaches you don't like. You know what I mean? And being able to finish through and push through that, man. I called my dad, called my old head coach from high school, talking to my mom, talking to my sisters. You know what I mean? Like, talking with my friends. Like, I had people surrounded by, I had people in my corner that helped me through that, because it's hard. It's definitely not for everybody, and that's why a lot of people don't see that rigorous like schedule and think that we just get everything. Like, obviously we get cleats and all that good stuff, sure, but at the end of the day, we're also paying for a lot of the tuition for other kids. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
a lot of that stuff doesn't get talked about. Like, a lot of money that football brings in helps also pay for other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
of
So,
course. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I know specifically because, we're sports journalism majors. We've gone into that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really until the creation of the NIL market where I feel like athletes started to see that fair share that they were able
and
to
now-
get.
get the
yeah.
money that they wanted. And you were playing before the NIL and
Yeah.
after, so you kind of got to see
Yeah.
the difference. What is
Yeah.
that? Yeah, talk about that. The whole process.
It's
behind
definitely hard, especially if you're not at a school that has a whole bunch of big money and big funds. It is hard to just get by, you know. When NIL came around and I went to a school that actually had NIL money, it was a blessing. You know what I mean? Like, it changes the trajectory of how I can help out with my own family. Because before I'm asking my family for help, maybe here and there when money gets low, when you have to pay rent and stuff like that. But after I left and NIL was passed, I was able to get NIL money and help pay for some of my sister's medical bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Through the blessing of God. And it definitely changes a lot with how players can feel more comfortable in college. Now, you do have players that just got money just to spend money and all that stuff, right? But
that's not the majority of it.
Yeah.
That's not everyone on the
Yeah,
team.
when you have players like me, I use money to give back. I use money to pay for family. I use money, like, I don't spend money on jewelry and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I lay back, I save mine, and I help wherever I can.
And talk about like the process. Are companies reaching out to you directly? Do you have like a management?
Does it go through like an NIL fund and then it gets to you, or how does that work?
So usually if it's a company, it'll reach out to some of our like collective people, and they'll reach out to us saying, hey, this business wants to do work with you. If you want to post through this X, Y, and Z, they'll pay you this. So, or if you want to come in, you can get half off this. Like, just like an actual like partnership. You know what I mean? So usually it goes through the collective or whoever it is that manages the NIL, but sometimes players can get approached by people and all that stuff, and that's the things that players got to watch out for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
Speaking on that, I mean, you had 4 years at Washington State, then you transferred to Arizona. Can you talk about, well, one question that I've always had, especially now, you hear of 7th-year seniors, 8th-year seniors. How does that work with redshirting, and then with COVID, did that adding an extra year? Like, what's the max? Could you have, instead of, deciding to go to the NFL, stayed for another year on top? Or how does that work?
With me, it wouldn't have worked out because I ran out of eligibility. With other people, there's ways in which you can come back and get another year, say injury. That's the biggest one that gives people another year is injury, and then redshirting, and then COVID. So you have a medical red shirt, then you have a regular med shirt, and then you have COVID if you were in college during COVID.
So anyone that was in college during COVID that was playing,
automatically
they
gets an extra year?
Wow.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. Talk about that difference, because obviously you're playing in stadiums filled with 60, 70, 80,000 people, and then to go straight from that to empty. What is that feeling? Because you're used to hearing the crowd, you're used to hearing everything. Now you're able to hear the QB call out audibles and stuff like that.
You're in the sideline, you're hearing the players.
It's definitely different because obviously you have that atmosphere where if defense is on the field and we're third down and the crowd gets loud and we're spooking the offense and stuff like that, like that type of feeling changes the dynamic of players and the way players play. But going to just quietness and just nothing,
It's gotta be weird.
it felt like practice almost, you know what I mean? Because, they put crowd noises and they put it over the speaker, but it's not the same.
It's not registering when there's no one in the
You
stands.
look in the stands, you see nothing but steel.
Yeah, you just seeing open seats, just the red or just the color of the stadium.
It was definitely something different. Guys try to make the best of it because, you had seniors, but people didn't really, I'm not going to say people didn't really care, but people weren't playing to their full potential because they knew they had an extra year.
Yeah.
And plus games was getting canceled left and right.
Yeah, talk about that with like the testing, and then if you're exposed to someone, how did that work out?
Testing was crazy. If you, say I'm sitting here with you and I had COVID, both of you guys couldn't play the game.
Just automatically because
just
we're
we're
sitting with you.
in contact with you.
Exactly.
So what if we took you, you got tested, you came out positive, and then they tested us and we were negative?
Y'all still would have to
come
We
back.
still have to quarantine and everything.
because technically it can show up 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
So
Did y'all ever have like an instance where someone had
Oh, man,
they were
plenty.
tested positive and then they tested again and it was negative, and then
plenty. I was one of those cases where I was warming up for Cal, and they didn't want to tell me till probably the game started that I probably wasn't going to be able to play because I tested negative, but I also tested positive.
Man, I would have.
But then I also tested negative.
I would've been.
So they told you like right up until game time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because they're still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of testing that goes on, and the way the testing like happens is it's rigorous. You know what I mean, it's ridiculous, and you had to test every day. Like you'd have to show up at 6 o'clock to get tested before you even go and do football stuff during that time.
Yeah, it was like a whole different world. I want to switch and talk about faith and talk about God, because that's something like if you go through like your social medias, you said it already, that's like a key part of your life.
Yeah.
Talk about just like faith growing up, how you got introduced to it, and then what you do to keep your faith.
Honestly, my family's been Christian Baptist my whole life. It didn't really start to kick in until I got older and I started to understand who God is and who Jesus is and the Holy Spirit and the attributes and the gifts that they give. In high school, actually, that's where my faith really started to kick in, I'd say. My dad had got locked up my sophomore year. And there was some stuff that happened at the house with my sisters when I was going away from school, because I didn't stay at home for school. I stayed with one of my friends for 3 years to go to school, to be able to go to school. And going through being away from the house also put a target on my sisters. So
They don't have that sort of protector.
exactly.
Yeah.
So some stuff happened with them, and I was away. And at that time, I'm in survival mode. Like I'm more hot and more easier to get angry than being able to talk and be calm about certain situations.
But especially when it's with family, it brings out a different side of you, that protective side.
Exactly. And being from Moreno Valley, there's a lot of gangbangers out in Moreno Valley. You know what I mean? So, and I was close to making decisions that was probably put me away for life. And it's a good thing that I was at the school that I'm at, because my grandmother, and this is the only person that I will call my grandmother that's not blood related, she was a teacher, but she was also a prayer warrior. And she would always tell me and talk to me about forgiveness. So I had to learn forgiveness at a young age and really figure out, okay, am I really going to trust in this? Am I really going to trust in God and trust in Jesus and what he will do to the person that did this to my sister? You know what I mean? And I took that route and I listened to her. Learned forgiveness, and I'm still learning forgiveness. I'm not the best, but learned forgiveness through trials and tribulations, man, and been able to develop and build and strengthen that relationship with Jesus over time. And ever since then, man, even in college where my faith has been tested really, like I stuck by, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie and say there wasn't hard times, man. There was tough times, like hard times. And when I'm by myself and I'm praying or I'm thinking, the Lord was with me there the whole time, throughout the whole situation, man. I've been lied to by coaches to my face. You know what I mean? I've been talked about from coaches to other people that are cool with me. You know what I mean? And they would tell me stuff. So dealing with family sicknesses and illnesses, and you hear your friends getting shot and killed back home, and it was definitely a time where, okay, Jesus, I'm holding on to you because you said to, and I'm trusting you. And through that, man, this whole year, starting from January when I moved out here, my faith has only grew stronger since I've been out here. And I can say that I've definitely acquired gifts from God and from the Lord because I've diligently been obeying him. And I'm not perfect. I mess up here and there, you know what I mean? But because I've been showing that I diligently follow him, he's been in my life. Like, I include him in everything. Money, my girl, my family, football, Because originally I didn't even want to go to the league, honest truth. And it was a Sunday where I got prayed for, and the Spirit said, "Why are you blocking the blessing that the Lord is trying to
Provide.
bring you to?" So I was like, I'm afraid of certain things. I'm afraid of how money can put a perception on me, especially to friends and family, and I don't want that dynamic to change. But God was like, "Why are you stopping the blessing that I'm trying to give to you?" So I'm like, "Okay, I won't fight it. You want me to do this? I'll listen." But and there's a lot of things that go into that. But the biggest thing was the Lord wants me to go touch people and talk to people, so that they may have that way to God how I know God.
Right.
I can personally relate to you a lot.
Man.
My dad was actually brought here. He's from Africa,
Uh-huh.
but he came here through the Catholic Church, through the church.
Yeah.
And I grew up, going to, a Catholic church, but it was mostly people from the South, from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Where I was able to, I grew up as an altar server. I was going to Sunday school every week. But like you said, it wasn't really until I chose to follow the faith. You grow up in the church, but as a kid, but you're really doing it just because your parents are saying, "Hey, come here." But then when you get into high school and college, and like you, I'm not perfect. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I do believe in God. But at the same time, I do struggle with my faith a lot. I question a lot.
Yeah.
What's one advice that, or some point of wisdom that you can give to people like me who are, they do still want this connection with God. They still do have this urge to be with God, but at the same time, they do question it. They do, they're not 100% certain. And, I know that's where faith does come into it, but, what's something through your experiences that you would, give to us?
I would say patience deals a lot with faith. Because a lot of people think that you pray about something and you ask for it right then and there, and it's just supposed to happen. God has a divine timing in the way that he works and the way that he moves. So, and I had times where I questioned God. Like when my grandmother died, I was like, and I was, 10, 11 maybe? My grandmother was my best friend. And I didn't understand why she was taken. I still don't. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things where it's a divine timing of, if she was still here, would I have done this? Or if she was still here, would I be in this position? You know what I mean? So I believe a lot of it has to do with patience. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you a testimony just from myself. And I was going through it probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, man, trying to figure out how I can help pay for my sister's medical bill. She had a stroke when she was young, blood clots in her brain. So, and we have the best doctors out here in Arizona, you know what I mean? So, I'm sitting there, I don't have all the money in the world, but I can help out with something, you know what I mean? And I don't really tell people a lot about this because I don't want them to think that, you can just get money out of nowhere. But I prayed to God, and I asked him, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there like teared up almost. Because I prayed for it. It didn't happen one day. It didn't happen the day after. It didn't even happen the day after that. But the next day I woke up, I checked my bank account. There's 4 bands sitting in my account. So I'm like, because usually I would have an extra $2,000 sitting in my account. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's an extra $2,000 sitting on top of that. That's something that you can't say that anybody else did that. That's how God moves. Because I prayed for it and I've seen it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And being able to just see that work for, like, on paper, can't nobody take that testimony away from me because I've seen it and I prayed for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? On paper, it shouldn't even, like, it the way it came, God, that the only way that it came was the way God moved through it.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been no other way how 4 bands just happened to pop up in my account. And that helped tremendously with everything that had to do with my sister. So, patience played a big role in just waiting on him. And, you know, a lot of the things, too, is putting your all into him. A lot of people teeter the line whether they want to be all in or all out based off of what they see. When you wait on God and you diligently seek him all the time, every day you put in the work, you ultimately start to see a difference in the way you look at life. See, I didn't think the NFL was such a big deal until he told me, listen, I want you to go talk to some people about me. I didn't think money was a big deal. I still don't care about money. You know what I mean? And he was like, okay, since you've done good with this, I'm going to bless you with this because I've seen what you do with this. I don't buy jewelry, like I said. I don't buy shoes. I don't buy the biggest name brand, Gucci and all that stuff. I don't buy none of that. You know what I mean? Like, the most I will buy is probably fishing gear because I love fishing. You know what I mean? But I don't spend my money on a whole bunch of stuff that's not giving glory to God. And even when I buy fishing stuff, it's to go be with God. Because I usually fish by myself, but even when I bring people along, I'm sitting there talking about God. You know what I mean? And it's that fine line of being all in. And I took my chances with being all in, and from there, he showed me who he was, and he's still showing me who he is. And he's still giving above what I can even comprehend. So I think the biggest thing is also being all in. Because when you decide to do that, you ultimately start to feel different.
Yeah.
How you see people will start to change. How you see life will start to change. You know what I mean? And just the people you surround yourself with ultimately start to change. You start feeling happier. You're going to start to see things are going to start coming for you because you're ultimately following God's path and God's way. Mm-hmm. And that's a good, humbling thing to know, okay, I know that I'm doing right because I'm being attacked by things that don't even make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? For me, when I made the choice to really follow God, financial stuff popped up. Relationship starts to get shaken and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. All that stuff starts to come into play as soon as I started diligently following God. And ever since then, man, like, it's been a journey. Like, I would never trade that decision I made ever. And I'd say it's probably the best decision I ever made in my life, really.
I love that. I mean, I think one quote that I've heard, that kind of sticks with me is, where logic ends, faith begins. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Where you can't comprehend why this is happening to you, what is happening to you. Yeah. That's where your belief has to kick in with God that says, God has me. Yeah. He's got my back at all times. He'll pick up and carry that cross that I can't carry.
Exactly.
And even though I may not be the most solidified in my, my faith and my strength, it's something I'm trying to work on to build on every day. Mm-hmm. Because my mom has always told me God has a plan for you. Yeah. He has great plans. But at the end of the day, those plans can't come to fruition until I, like you said, buy all in. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I'm definitely trying to improve on myself. Where I'm trying to get back into reading the Bible, reading the Scripture, what He says. It's all laid out there. A lot of the struggles that you're going through, it's laid out there in the Bible. You just got to go search for it. And you really off camera talking with you right now, it's really helping to open my eyes up. And I appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah. And I'd say a biggest thing too, even with that, is trying to understand God our way will never work. Right. Because can't nobody comprehend who God is. God is God. You know what I mean? You just can't even flip to understand that concept. And so when you flip or when you push that understanding behind you, and you start to, okay, God, listen, I'm gonna follow you. Well, not listen, but hear me out, God. I'm following you. I'm trying to find you. I'm trying to seek you. I'm trying to understand you. Help me so that I'm not following the ways of which I shouldn't be following, or the things I shouldn't be doing. And like, I'm gonna be real with you. I spoke to God. I curse sometimes when I came to God. I'm like, God, I'm trusting you. Like, this shit is hard. Like, this shit sucks. Don't want to do this. Don't like this. This is tugging on me. This is triggering. This is making me fight. Like, I had all that stuff, man. And I went from doing things I shouldn't be, even speaking with women, to praying and saying, God, I am going to follow you. I am going to do X, Y, and Z. Find me a woman that won't play with my heart. Find me a woman that is a version that you send me, and I will wait on her. And when you want that girl to be known, show her to me so I know. And long and behold, I went to church on a Sunday. This was back in, like, I don't know. I want to say July, August, around that area.
Oh, this year?
Yep.
Okay.
Went to church. Before I even go in to worship, there's this black woman, my girl. She's standing outside, and there's just this divine presence. And we locked eyes. And I was like, God, is this it? Is this real right now? And all I can, like, I get a vision of just seeing, like, the Father smiling. So I'm like, I know that's the one. And that's my girlfriend, and hopefully my wife will be my wife to this day. You know what I mean? And she's a virgin. Not to put her business out there, but she's a virgin. I fucked up plenty of times, excuse my language, but I done messed up plenty of times. And I asked God that I would be born a virgin again through him, and to forgive me for what I did not know. And from there, I haven't had no sex for almost 8 to 9 months, man. I haven't been doing anything. So, and when you do those things and you be like obedient and you listen to those things, God gives you gifts. And you gonna know that's God, because whatever it is that is going on in your life, you know that doesn't align with what you know. You know what I mean? So
that's impressive too. Just where we are, Arizona State, like the rep that it gets.
Yeah.
I think even just in the times that we
too,
live in now, like
it.
that's not you don't hear about that.
Yeah.
Like
that's truly that's rare. But speaking of Arizona State, you switched from Washington State after you graduated. You came here. Talk about your experience here. How has it been? How has Arizona treated you?
Because it's been less than a year, really, right?
yeah, I'd say it's a blessing. God chose me to be here and to be on the Sun Devil football team for a reason. And with me being an old head, I had a lot of guys that still looked up to me, even though they're also leaders on the team and captains on the team. And I'm able to preach and talk to them about God, and them being able to come and check out a church or get prayed for. Guys who haven't even been to church in years.
Right.
Coming out and going to church and listening and praying and trusting. Now, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But guys making the stride,
right,
to try and follow and listen and do right. So I'd say it's been nothing short about a blessing. And God has brought me here for a reason. I think he brought me here because this was my practice ground. I love it here. I'm going to come back to live here after it's all said and done with the league. But I think that's one of the biggest things that he brought me here for, was to ultimately strengthen my relationship with him and to preach to guys that need to be heard, or he needs me to talk to get to him.
And talk about being a leader, like, of a football team. This is obviously a Power 5 school. I mean, it's got to be egos. It's got to be a lot of people that think they're bigger than what they are. Talk about, like, keeping people down, being a leader. Obviously, you were probably a voice for the team. Talk about that, like taking that role.
I gotta say before I even came, there was a couple leaders on the team, and they didn't stand for certain things that some guys do. And me coming in being a leader, a lot of guys saw how I worked and how I carried myself, and naturally wanted to follow that. Not gonna say that I didn't have a couple bad days of practice throughout the whole season, but I rarely had a bad day. Like, I'm always excited for practice. I'm always excited for football. I'm happy. I don't dread anything. And when guys see that from a person and they see how I talk and carry myself, the character of myself, they're like, there's something about that dude. I want to be like that dude. I'm not the guy that'll scream and yell and rah-rah and try to tell guys, shut up, get in line. I'm not that type of guy. I'll talk to you one-on-one to where it's heartfelt. You know what I mean? So, and I think I did that a lot, especially this season, even in the locker room with some of the young guys, even older guys. Talking to them one-on-one, trying to get them to understand who I am, and just preaching, honestly, the gospel to them. That's what led me to be a leader to a lot of the guys, because they see how I carry myself.
Talking about that, what went into your decision to come to Arizona State? Because, you were at Washington State for a year.
Yeah.
What made you want to switch that up and come down here?
I didn't like one of the coaches that's still at Washington State. I didn't like how he treated people. I didn't like how he lied to players. I didn't like how he treated players, including myself. So when I got in the portal, actually USC was my first offer. But I didn't want to be under the limelight of Caleb Williams. I just wanted to play football and not have to kiss butt to anybody or anything like that. So I just wanted to play ball, and God led me to Arizona State, where my coach from Washington State ended up going to Arizona State, so it made that transition even easier. And yeah, that made that decision a lot smoother and easier because I know the coaches.
Talk about that. You came here, you had a great year, obviously. 50-plus tackles. Got interception against Arizona. How was that feeling? How was that feeling?
It's definitely surreal, you know what I mean? And playing it, because I know some of those guys. One of the old linemen that I know is from Mobile. You know what I mean? And playing against him was like,
it's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's like, man, I used to talk to you about grades and stuff like that, and following and doing good things, and being on the same field, being on the same field in front of a crowd of like 60,000 or whatever it was. Yeah. And y'all just playing ball, man. It's a surreal moment, but it was definitely a cherishing moment. I'd say definitely on defense and offense. Actually, the whole team. There's things that we needed to fix, but I knew I was going out with a bang, and that was the biggest thing that I wanted to do was go out with a bang. I wanted to be remembered for the legacy that I brought to the team, and the God aspect legacy, and honestly, just a dude that plays hard, man. Plays with heart. So,
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what's your type of play style? I guess because a lot of people have different. Are you a heavy hitter? Do you fly around? Is it a combination of it, or do you use more of your brain to read out coverages?
I'd say as a linebacker, you would probably need all of those mixed in. Yeah. I'd like to base my style off of Brian Dawkins. That was a big inspiration to my game, honestly. How he talked about God all the time, how he was on the field. I'm still working on the cursing part, but
you're not the only one.
I'm still working on that part. But,
you're not alone.
Just his game and the way he played the game and how passionate he was about the game. Yeah. That's who I mirror myself after. And then with the tenacity of Ray Lewis and guys like Luke Kuechly, who literally can tear you a play without even really setting up, you know what I mean?
Right.
All that type of stuff. So I'd say I base my game based off of them.
I got a question for you, just as a football fan that I'm just curious about. you matched up against two of the Heisman candidates for this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Caleb Williams was matched up against Shador Sanders. Like a lot of other
Bo
good
Nix,
QB.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Bo Nix, like the Michael Penix.
Penix
The least,
Jr.
the list goes on. What's like some of the best offenses you faced, or some of the best QBs? Like in terms of leadership and just the way they play.
I gotta say, Bo Nix. Oregon put a whooping on us for sure. Their offense. They're obviously Bo Nix is a dude. He can play. He can sling the rock.
That's one of them 8th year, 7th year
Yeah, he can sling the rock and he can play, and that was something that is like, damn, like that dude is really killing it. I didn't get a chance to hit him, but I did get a chance to hit Caleb a couple times, and that was pretty fun, man. Being able to sack him.
How'd you get your number? Because 82, you usually see that on a tight end.
Yeah,
you see
that's
that
what I
on
was gonna say.
offense. How did that? Like, what was the reason you chose 82, or was it just given to you, or what was
It actually traces back to when I was young, when my grandmother passed away. I was playing the Big Dog Bowl, and my grandmother had cancer. And me being a young idiot, I thought Greg Jennings was number 82 instead of 85 because he played for the Packers. And back then I wanted to be a receiver, all this other stuff.
Right.
So I chose 82. It was the wrong number. But my grandmother was sick. She was on her deathbed. And she had passed away, but the last number she knew or remember and saw me in was 82. So I said, you know what? I'll make this vow that from here on out, I will wear the number 82 until I can't anymore, in remembrance of my grandmother. And from then on, I've played with it with Snoop. I played in it with throughout all of high school and throughout my whole college career.
So you played in the Snoop Dogg, the league with him?
Yeah.
How was that? Like Coach Snoop, I know everyone knows Snoop as the artist.
I mean,
Yeah.
LA, I mean, you got Nipsey right
Yeah.
there, man. Just seeing one of those LA legends.
Man, I mean, Coach Snoop was definitely cool. He's a dude that definitely wants to give back to the community. Definitely a dude that obviously has a football team. Wants to look out for players, give them a different path and a different light in life. So it was cool. And he bought me a pair of gloves and cleats and wristbands and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, like.
It's a lot.
Yeah, Snoop. Yeah, that's what I was.
Snoop.
Yeah.
But then just being able to understand like who he is and being able to talk to him a couple times, because my pops knows him, so being able to just talk to him a couple times here and there was pretty cool. So.
And one thing, I mean, he's really involved with the community, and I feel like you're really involved with the community in the same way. What are some ways that you've been able to give back to, your community?
I like to give back to kids. I like to talk to kids a lot. I like to go and speak about the gospel to young kids. There's times where I'll go to schools and I'll play recess, play games at recess with the kids and stuff like that. And just being in that kid realm where they can look up to somebody like a big brother or something like that.
Because, I mean, you are a role model, though. Someone coming from that area, seeing how far you made it, you have obviously NFL aspirations. I mean, that's a beautiful way to, give back to your community, show them, like, even though you're in the position you are right now, there is a way out. You're not stuck here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's avenues.
I like that. Talking about it, NFL, but before NFL, you got some team awards from Arizona State. Can you talk about that? Which awards did you win? And what was that feeling having, your peers acknowledge you for, all the hard work that you put in?
Oh, man, it's definitely a blessing and an honor to be recognized as a captain on the team and to be chosen not even by just the players but even coaches.
Yeah.
That's a high honor. So I'm always thankful and I'm always grateful for that position that guys look up to me that way, to where I can help and give back to them in ways that don't even involve football. You know what I mean? So that's an honor to receive this Frank Kush Captain Award. I got the Ron Pritchard, I believe. I don't know, I probably butchered his last name, but Ron, Outstanding Linebacker Award, and that was a really cool experience for the coaches to recognize me as an outstanding linebacker. You know what I mean? put a lot into the craft. I put a lot into the game, and studying and understanding the scheme and just playing fast. So it was definitely it's definitely a blessing to be recognized for those achievements.
One last thing I want to talk about. When I was looking, you're the great nephew of Jackie Robinson?
Yes, sir.
How did you find out about that? And then just what is that like to be connected to someone that's such a legend in the sports community, in the black community, and just
in the world?
That's an
community.
icon. Yeah, so just an icon in life, bro. What's that like?
Man, it's something that I don't always throw around because, you still have the racist people that like to say little slick stuff here and there. But I didn't find out until I was like, I want to say in my teens. And my dad didn't want to tell us that at a young age because obviously you're a kid like, I'm
Right,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So he kept that away from us to not only to protect ourselves but to also like protect the family and to keep a humbleness about who we are. You know what I mean? We made our own path. We made our own way.
Your own
So
name.
if I was Jackie Robinson's nephew, I'd be telling that to everybody.
You would never hear the end of it from him, bro.
Yeah, and I try to, and I don't really tell everybody that. It's on my page for people to go see it, but that's someone that obviously I never got to meet, but it's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's nice to be able to trace your history back to a predominant figure in the community.
So, and then just looking at myself, looking at the character of my father, my grandfather, seeing how they carry themselves as men, you can see how that trickled down from generation to generation on how they carry themselves.
Right.
And just having that wisdom, man. That's something that trickling down from the top all the way down to us, it's something that's really cool. And it's crazy because I actually played against my cousin who was also related to Uncle Jack. He plays for UCLA. So
And that's where he went. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an honor to be traced back to that, and it's an honor to just be able to represent something of such greatness. You know what I mean?
From one pro athlete, Jackie Robinson, to a hopeful NFL athlete right here.
Yeah.
Talk about that transition that you're making now, training for the NFL. What's one team that you wish, if you could have it your way, what's one team you wish you could be on?
I wouldn't mind playing for the 49ers for a little bit, just because I want to complete that goal of my grandmother. My grandmother's favorite team was the 49ers. So that'd be one thing. But honestly, I wouldn't mind playing for the Packers and the Cowboys because that's what my family love. But if it's just me, I don't care what team I get drafted on.
As long as it's a team.
As long as I'm on a team and I get an opportunity or a shot, man, and I'm blessed and I'm able to be surrounded by guys that I need to be around, I can't complain, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that want to be in my position, so I'm not greedy or anything that I can get or any opportunity that I can get. It'll be a blessing and an honor.
And, from what I'm seeing, even if you don't get that opportunity, I feel like you'd be a hell of a coach, too.
Yeah.
Out
there. Just
my
to put
coach
it
has
out.
already been trying to tell me to be a coach, and I said I don't want to coach on the collegiate level, never.
Nah. I still think even in high school, I'd
probably do something like that, just depending on life and seeing where that stuff goes. But
NFL, I could see you in there for sure.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, you'd be wearing the orange and navy blue, but
Broncos?
You know me, I'm a Colorado fan, so hey, we 6-6 right now. We just came off a 5-game winning streak, so I'm happy personally.
Yeah.
We just lost to the Texans, but man, I think we got a lot of good stuff in this podcast. Thank you for coming on. Obviously,
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. This
y'all
was a good podcast. It was a really great conversation.
able to open up my eyes. I know,
Yeah.
and probably open
The
up the viewers' eyes
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So thank you. That'll wrap up the end of this episode. Any last words of encouragement or anyone you want to shout out?
Oh man, definitely shout out God. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak to more people on a bigger platform. Thank you guys for obviously having me and just being able to talk about God, which is one of the big aspects of me.
Spread the gospel, spread the message.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'd say for the viewers that are on here listening, if you guys have any questions, reach out to these guys. These guys know my contact information.
Oh, we'll pop up the social media.
Yeah, we'll put up everything right here. Yeah, we'll put everything up.
They
for
have
you.
all the contact information. If you guys have questions regarding God and getting in your faith and stuff like that, that's what I'm ultimately here for. That's my purpose. That's why I'm here. Yeah, and if there's anything else that you guys have questions with, reach out to the guys. Shout out to the guys for having me and appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you again. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
That's another episode of the Teed Up Podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching.
Yes, sir. We'll catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
Boom.